Holy crap, bidding wars are back, but it's not everywhere just yet. We'll see. Now, you're going to need to know what's going on right now because the market is slowly kind of fragmenting apart like I thought it would. So make sure you stay tuned. Now, if you are looking for some help on how to make a real estate move in 2023, whether you're on the offensive or the defensive, you could book a call with me, a strategy call, no obligations, free of charge, using the link that's right here, www.chatwithzen.com. Simply click on the date and the time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. My name is Zhen, and I run and operate a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto area on top of making awesome educational real estate content just like this one for you. And I honestly didn't expect I'd be making this video so quickly, or even this year, actually. So after last week's market watch, I was kind of watching the market very, very closely every single day. And I had like a inkling that things were getting a little bit heated in the market despite, people thinking it's incredibly bearish, and things are getting worse right now because we just got a rate hike and, the year-over-year numbers are looking like crap. But the caveat to this is that it's only in certain pockets, okay? Last week, I called out an exceptionally high demand kind of area in certain pockets. So I was watching those areas specifically, and it became very, very clear to me that this bidding war phenomenon, while is slowly coming back, is not working everywhere. Meaning a lot of these people who are holding back offers and significantly underlisting them, I'm seeing a lot of people relist even though they got like 6 or 7 offers. But in 3 pockets, it's clearly working. These pockets are Richmond Hill, Markham, and a big segment of Toronto that I'm gonna go through with you in this video. But let me give you kind of like a bird's eye view of what's happening right now to give you some more context first. Now, for first chart I'm going to show you is comparing the numbers in January of 2023 to the first 11 days of stats from February, which is, almost a month because remember, February is a shorter month, 28 days, not a leap year. Yeah, right. You can see the sales over here is surprisingly high. I don't know why. It's a little bit too early, but if I kind of had to guess, I'd say the increased activity is maybe slowly starting to trickle into the data as sales firm up, right? Now, what I do want to draw your attention to over here is that it's not the price, but it's the sale to list ratio is above 100% in February so far. Doesn't seem right in a slow market, right? Now, the percentage of properties being sold over ask is about 1/3 of them, or 33%. But both these metrics are going up, which is kind of strange in what is supposedly a slow market. But this past year has been, nothing but strange for a matter of fact, right? But before you kind of freak out, like I was saying last week, this could very much be a symptom of how a lot of agents right now are listing their properties and they're choosing to underlist them. So if the property, say right now, market value is worth $1 million and you list it for $699 and it sells for $950, it's still sold over asking despite how many properties and offers you got, but it's sold for less than the market value of $1 million. And there's a lot of that happening right now. While it's not working everywhere, here are the areas where I think it is working, and some of them probably seeing slightly above market value. The first one is Durham, east of Toronto. The sales to this price ratio is higher, but the big number I'm looking at right now is 43% of homes are selling over ask. That's like a 10% jump from the entire GTA market. This is something you should keep an eye on. Now, I think it's because people generally want space, and in Durham region, it's the least expensive area to effectively get a freehold property in all of the Greater Toronto area. Because you notice on this chart over here, most of the properties that are being sold that are under $1 million, and more than 2/3 of them are actually detached properties, right? Also, the days on market is significantly lower than the entire Greater Toronto area market. Now, that is a trend that you should really be focusing on when I'm talking about this in this video. Now, as I've been saying, right, the millennials who kind of formed families during the pandemic are in need of more space now. And if there is a weakness in the market, it's probably going to be the condo space and not the freehold space this year, because I suspected that the highly leveraged investors, if they are, highly leveraged and, they're feeling the rate hikes, they're going to unload the condos first, not the freehold properties or the homes they live in. Now, let's look at Toronto. They're, kind of right in line with the market stats like all GTA. But if you break this down and you divide it up, this is what you're going to get. Here are the numbers for the areas Toronto CO1 and CO8, which is basically downtown Toronto, south of Bloor, between Dufferin and the DVP. You can see here, the sales to list price is below the entire GTA average. The percentage sale is also below that as well. And this is the same thing in the east end of Toronto, right? So you can see it's the condos that are underperforming right now, and that's kind of the divide. Now, here's me breaking out all the other asset types in Toronto for you. So you got your townhomes, and while the sample size is incredibly very, very small, because, very small amount of sales, it's the exact opposite of condos and closer to Durham. Above 100% sales to list ratio, very low days on market, and almost half of them are selling over ask. Same thing for condo towns, right? Very similar. And while condo towns aren't necessarily freehold, it's generally land-based housing, which a lot of people are looking for. And then you look at semis, same thing. High sales to list ratio and a lot of properties being sold over ask. Then you look at the absolute crown jewel of Toronto real estate, which is the detached, which is the highest sold over ask so far over here at 102% of the listing price. Wowza. Also, if you look at how kind of skewed the average price is relative to the median price, this is because a third or 33% of the homes that are sold so far in the 11 days of February are over $2 million. Yeah, right? Now you may be kind of freaking out and saying, oh, the rich people are going to multiple offers. No, that's not true. I dug into these numbers a little bit deeper for you. And of the 45 $2 million plus home properties, I broke it all down, that sold, the average selling price is like $2.8 million. And the sales to list price is only about 100, like honestly right on the dot. So I wouldn't call that multiple per se. But the culprit of these numbers is the properties that are listed from 1 million or sold for 1 million to 1.25 million, which is up to 40 of them. And the average price there is like 1.12 mil, but the sales to list ratio is 104%, the highest in any segment I've talked about so far. And I've broken it down some more, right? This is absolutely wild. And this includes properties that are sold at, less than 100%. And this is what I've been saying. The good properties in a good area that are ready to move in are going in multiples. And they're generally the ones that you're probably hearing about that are getting tons of offers and probably actually been selling close to, I would say, last year's price during call it March or April, even sometimes during the peak, depending on how nice it is. Now, who are these buyers? Are they crazy? Are they stupid? No, it's probably just the millennials that are upgrading their homes because of household formations. That's how the demographics are driving this trend. They're selling their condo and they're moving into a freehold. Now, if you found this content helpful and shocking, it probably means other people as well. So you can share that with them to let them know actually what's going on in the real estate market as I break all this data down for you. And while you're at it, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the Prime Properties channel because it greatly helps me spread the knowledge out there and the type of content I'm putting out there that's specifically to educate the Torontonians. And if you are looking for some help on how to navigate this real estate market, you want to work with a realtor who's actually in the know, you can book a call with me using the link right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Now I'm going to go back to some more data for you, right? Here are two other culprits where the bidding wars are even more effective, right? And you don't have to look any further than Richmond Hill and Markham, where more than half the properties are sold above the listing price. Yeesh, that's wild, right? So Richmond Hill is at like 103% of the list price right now. And if you look at Markham, it's at a stupid, silly 109% with almost 2/3 of the properties selling over ask. Yeah. Now, these are some wild stats, but I can tell you that a lot of these properties that are actually sold, I looked at them, they're severely, severely underlisted. And we're talking like a few $100,000 underlisted. So it's going to skew the market, upwards in that sales to list ratio a bit. But the fact that so many of them being sold so quickly and over ask tells me that they're holding offers and they're selling firm in a week, which tells you that the demand is there and people are foregoing conditions right now in Markham and Richmond Hill. Now, when you think these two cities, right, Richmond Hill, Markham, you're gonna be like Chinese money, foreign capital, et cetera, right? Here's my take and my kind of tidbit for you, given this is my culture, right? I'm Chinese. The buyers are generally right now local millennials and they just had kids. Most of the Chinese people I know and work with have owned real estate for 10 plus years. And it's very common in our culture to pay down the mortgage as quick as possible. A very common question that people always ask me when they get their house is, hey, how quickly can I pay down my mortgage? What's the allowable prepayment each year? So this means any parent who moved into the Markham Richmond Hill area 10 years ago, bought a detached home for $500,000, yeah, that's how much they were back then, would have likely paid it off already by now and is sitting on anywhere between $1.2 to $1.5 million in equity. Yeah. Now these parents, 95% of the time, they're gonna help their kids and they have the means to do so. They're not necessarily rich by income per se, but they're incredibly rich because of the equity and they paid it down. It's local money. It's just local saved money that has benefited from the real estate boom. And, because culturally real estate's in Chinese blood. Like you land, you buy real estate. That's what it's about. And that's also like, being frugal, paying down the mortgage because, paying interest is stupid in Chinese culture. Anyways, let's look at the flip side of the city on the west end. You can see over here, Halton isn't doing so hot, which is Burlington, Oakville, and Milton, right? It's well below the average. It's the same thing in Peel, which is Mississauga and Brampton. And in fact, that's Peel region is much worse. So you can see this bidding war phenomenon is back, but it's only effective in what I would argue in like 3 segments of the market. You've got Markham, which is really hot right now, Richmond Hill, and then your entry freehold properties that are like 1 million to 1.25 million in Toronto, probably in the West End right now. And everything else likely isn't seeing the bidding war work effectively, but that doesn't prevent people from trying and even successfully doing it. Doesn't mean that they got market value. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more of like boots on the ground data to give you an idea of kind of what's happening in the market right now. This is still very, very early, but I just want to share that with you because each region is behaving differently and you really need to work with an expert who knows their stuff or at least knows how to kind of dive through all this data. And if you do want to work with myself or my team on your next real estate move, you can book a call with me using a link that's on the screen. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya! Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.